Hi everyone, I welcome you all at Apti Plus IAS platform. In these particular videos, we are going to analyze Hindu and Indian Express editorial articles. In these particular videos, we'll not just only discuss issue that is given in editorial, but rather we are going to discuss these particular aspects, these particular articles from background. We'll discuss the main concept as well as way forward. And also you'll find that the notes have also been has been arranged in the format of context, body and way forward. So now let's get started with the video. Here we have two articles that came, Killer Moonshine and How Dangerous is Methanol Poisoning. So this article we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 2, issues related to health. Issues related to health. So recently what happened? There was a huge tragedy that happened in Tamil Nadu. So basically, what is hooch? Basically, hooch is locally made, country made liquor. That is hooch. So recently, what happened in Tamil Nadu? There are certain people who consumed this country made liquor. Okay, who consumed this particular locally made liquor, and many of them died, and many of them they faced fatal. They faced fatalities also. Now, when we talk about this hooch tragedy, what happened? 38 people they died, and more than 80 people they were hospitalized after consuming this particular alcohol. Now few things we need to understand. Now when we talk about this particular hooch tragedy, it was found that this alcohol, this particular liquor, it was laced with methanol. Now understand guys, what happens when alcohol, when these drinks are are being prepared locally, often they fail to distill them properly, and because proper distillation doesn't happen, so some certain toxic components certain toxic components concentration increases beyond the safety level, and sometimes far more methanol is used. Now guys, when we talk about methanol, it is a toxic alcohol. It is a toxic alcohol. And sometimes this methanol is added to, now this is a methanol has industrial application. Sometimes it is added to homemade liquor in order to enhance its intoxicating effects. But if this methanol's concentration goes beyond a particular level, it can lead to liver failure, it can lead to blindness, and also it can lead to death. Now understand this particular thing guys, that when we talk about ethanol, it is a safe kind of an alcohol. And it breaks down in less harmful substances in your body. But when we talk about methanol metabolizes to form formaldehyde in the body. Also methanol, it breaks down to form the formic acid, and both of this formic acid and formaldehyde, they are harmful, they are dangerous if they are consumed. So what happens? So just a minute. Yes, so what happens? Methanol, it breaks down in formaldehyde. And formic acid, which is harmful for human. Fine. So this is the problem that happens. Now, immediate effect of consumption of methanol laced alcohol, methanol poisoning, could be headache, dizziness, nausea, visual disturbance, can lead to cerebral edema, hemorrhage, and death. Now, basically, what are the factors? Which are responsible for increased consumption of these homemade liquors? What are the factors which have led to the increased production of such kind of a hooch, and then hooch tragedies are happening? Number one, affordability. Now, often guys, when we talk about Tamil Nadu, so in Tamil Nadu, alcohol sale, it is largely by TASMAC outlets, and these TASMAC outlets, fine, basically they are highly regulated, and basically uh, as they're highly regulated, a lot of taxes are imposed on this kind of an alcohol, and the alcohols, liquors, they become very much expensive. As they become very much expensive, poor people, what they happen, they often resort to these locally made, country made, homemade liquors. Also guys, accessibility and easy availability of these local country made liquors is there. Number one, high cost, and number two, easy availability of these kind of liquors is there. Then thirdly, there are enforcement gaps. Thirdly, there are enforcement gaps that are there. Okay. Then the next, then what is to be done in this particular capacity? Number one, there should be enhanced surveillance. So prohibition enforcement wing should monitor the cases where the alcohol is being brewed, where these country made, locally made alcohol is brewing, and all those particular places, they needed to be raided and such consignments should be confiscated. Then next is regulatory framework. So there should be tight controls on the sale and distribution of industrial methanol. So I told you that methanol is often used in these kind of alcohols to increase its intoxicating effect. So methanol sale is to be highly regulated. Fine. The next is there should be awareness campaigns in which people, their family members need to be made aware with respect to the harms of these particular country made liquors. Then healthcare accessibility needs to be there. So in case if methanol poisoning happens, in case this kind of a huge consumption incidents happen, so immediate healthcare, immediate support is to be provided. Then some more suggestions can be there is that reduce the price of regulated alcohol in these TASMAC outlets of Tamil Nadu. Now, that might not be very much, that might not be liked by a few people, that you are saying that the prices should be reduced. But guys, at the same time, if you see these high prices, they are leading to counterproductive effects. What kind of counterproductive effects they are leading to? They are leading to such kind of huge tragedies. Huge tragedies. The next, local involvement should be there. So local communities should monitor such kind of huge production centers, etc., and they should be reported. They should be reported. And then there should be a comprehensive policy framework which will address the root causes of the huge consumption, social factors related to this problem, economic factors related to this problem, awareness problem that is there. They from the roots. They need to be addressed from the roots. Now, moving on, and let's take the next article. A progressive Indian policy on Myanmar outline. Okay. Now, this article will see with respect to GS paper number 2, international affairs. Fine, international affairs and the issues related to the neighborhood. Issues related to the neighborhood. Now, so guys, you see this particular thing, that what happened in 2021, there was a military coup that happened in Myanmar. And as this particular military coup has happened in Myanmar, they have led to subversion of individual liberties, individual rights. Also, we find this particular thing that large number of people, they have died because they are resisting the military takeover in Myanmar. Now, when we talk about India, guys, you see this particular thing that India has always talked about the democratic values. We always say that we support democracies, we support the democratic regimes. But undemocratic takeover has happened in Myanmar by military. India is not criticizing it. Rather, it has been said that India is cooperating with the Myanmar of it is cooperating with the military of Myanmar. It is cooperating with the junta of Myanmar, which is undemocratic. So let's explore on this particular article a little bit more. Fine. So basically, there is violence. So there is a continued violence going on in Myanmar. Human right abuse going in Myanmar. Fine. There are more than 5,000 people have died. Fine. 2.5 million people have been displaced in Myanmar since this particular takeover has happened. But India, it is still in talks. India, it is still cooperating with the military regime of Myanmar. Now you see this particular thing, guys, that there are two kind of things that are coming. One is values and other is interest. One is value and other is interest. Now let's understand this particular thing, value versus interest debate that's going on. See, when we talk about India, India has always talked about the civil values. India has talked about the democratic values. India has talked about the importance of dissent, freedom of speech and expression. All these values India have always supported. Right now, military of Myanmar, which has taken over, it doesn't stand for these particular values. And therefore, it is being said that on ideological ground, on ideological parameter, India should condemn the military takeover in Myanmar. This is one thing that's coming. This is one thing that's coming. But on another hand, guys, we have certain interest. Now, what is this particular thing that's coming? You see, China has always supported the military regime in Myanmar. And you know that Myanmar has a long boundary with the India. And if we will adopt a kind of a critical viewpoint over the military of Myanmar, then Myanmar and China relations will become more warm. They will become more close. And what will happen? China will sponsor Myanmar, and China will use Myanmar to increase insurgency in India's northeast. China will use Myanmar to bring instability in India's northeast. So therefore, it is in India's interest that if we want to maintain stability in northeast, we have to keep on negotiating. We have to keep in talking with Myanmar. We have to keep on talking with Myanmar, even if it is military takeover that has happened. So you see this thing that Indian policymakers, they argue that maintaining ties with junta is crucial for safeguarding India's strategic interest, India's security, India's trade, as particularly countering the China's influence in the region. So, in foreign policy, fine, the distinction between values and interest is not always clear cut. Often these particular lines become blurry. Sometimes we give more importance to value, sometimes we give more importance to interest. And interest, if they are aligning with the national security of the country, then the interest becomes more important. Interest becomes more important. Now, when we talk about India's traditional approach with respect to Myanmar, so India has defined its interest in Myanmar very narrowly, and we focus that strategic and security concerns that we have with respect to Myanmar, they are very important for India. They are important for India. But article says that interest is important, but at the same time, values also needed to be kept in mind. So it has been provided that India can better protect its long-term interest by adhering to democratic values and human security. Adhering to democratic values and human security. So it is being said that now India should take stand on whatever human right abuses that are going on in Myanmar, because that will be the way that India will be able to portray itself as different from China. Now, what can be the way forward? Number one, capacity building and knowledge exchange. So India has been a democratic responsible power. India has been a democratic responsible and largest federal democracy. It should influence the Myanmar's democratic resistance. So democratic factions that are there, India should empower them. India should try to mediate peace between the democratic forces and the military, and a kind of a compromise situation needs to be brought. The next thing is India should promote the spirit of federal cooperation. Fine. Now, when we talk about India, India has depicted excellent federal cooperation in the domestic level. So we need to teach it to the Myanmar also. Immediately, we need to halt the weapon sales. Now, any weapon sales that is going to Myanmar should stop, because in the past, it has been seen that many vacuum bombs, etc., for example, has been used by Myanmar against the people. So moral burden will fall on India if this weapon sale is going on and if these weapons are being used against the protesters. So weapon sale needs to be stopped. Also, it has been found that India has sold Navy grade diesel to Myanmar's junta, okay, which should be stopped. Secondly, cross-border humanitarian corridors should be opened. So if you see that what has happened as military takeover has happened and as atrocities are being committed, particularly on minorities, large number of them are fleeing to the neighboring countries. So basically, India should open the humanitarian corridors and should allow civilians who are fleeing from Myanmar to come in India. So next, reinstate free movement regime. So recently, Home Ministry said that it is going to fence the India-Myanmar border and it is going to suspend this free movement regime. So this article says that the free movement regime should not be stopped. Collaborate with aid networks. Okay, so humanitarian aid, medical aid, food supplies that are needed to the people who are suffering. Fine, that needs to be reinstated. That needs to be restarted. Okay, then halt detention and deportation. Halt detention and deportation. So basically, keeping principle of non-refoulement in mind. keeping the principle of non-refoulement in mind, the people of Myanmar who has come to India and who are being sent, that deportation should not be there. That deportation should not be there. Fine. Okay. So, and humane refugee treatment. Humane refugee treatment. Moving on. How can Himachal Pradesh fight against forest fires? How can Himachal Pradesh fight against forest fires? Now, this particular article we are going to see with respect to the GS paper number 3, environment and ecology. Environment and ecology. Okay. So recently, guys, fire related incidents have been observed in Himachal Pradesh. So recently, fire related incidents have been observed in Himachal Pradesh. And guys, since April 15, more than 1600 fire related incidents have been there. So when we talk about the fire incidents, so more than 1600 fire related incidents have happened. Now, why these fire incidents are erupting in Himachal Pradesh? Some problems are natural, but some causes are man-made, anthropological. Let's understand this thing. Now, when we talk about Himachal Pradesh, the makeup of forest in the Himachal Pradesh, it has changed considerably in the past few years. Makeup of the forest has changed considerably in the past few years. Let's understand this particular thing. So basically, Banj oak forest, they have been cleared to plant more cher pine forest. Now, when we talk about the cher forest, when we talk about the pine trees, okay, these pine trees, they are basically these pine trees, fine, they have a huge commercial value. They have huge commercial value. This is the reason that the cher pine trees are being promoted. But they catch fire. Now these pine, these they are like they are having these kind of a spikes. These spikes, they catch fire very rapidly. They catch fire very much rapidly. So therefore, they are highly flammable. Now, when we talk about the bunch oak, it retains moisture. It retains moisture, so therefore, it is not that much flammable. Also, it retains water in the soil, so it enhances the water table. It is not that much flammable because of the moisture retention, but sheer pine forest, it is more flammable because it doesn't retain that much moisture, and the structure of these spike like structure of this sheer pine forest also, it becomes highly flammable. Moreover, guys, these particular sheer pine trees, their resin is extracted, and when we talk about these particular resin, this resin also, it is very much susceptible to fire. This resin is flammable. This resin is flammable. So this is the reason that forest fire incidents have increased in Himachal Pradesh, and as I told you, more than 1600 forest fire has happened, and from 2001 to 2023, more than 957 hectare of tree cover has been lost in Himachal Pradesh because of these particular forest fires. Now, forest fires in Himachal Pradesh, when we talk about it, these forest fire incidents, they usually start in the pre-monsoon season. Pre-monsoon season. Why? Because in this pre-monsoon season, there are the dry conditions that are there. High temperature is there. High temperature, dry condition, availability of lot of dry organic and inorganic material, and at the same time what happens, there are then the human activities that lead to the start of these particular fires. For example, there are campfires which are unattended, then there are the discarded cigarettes that are often left by the tourists and travelers that are coming, and what they do, they ignite fires. They ignite fires. Okay, so this is something that has happened. Now, also what has happened, forest management, uh, always they have they have prioritized the commercial species such as the cher pine. So this is something which is leading to the forest fires. Now, what can be way forward, what can be solutions in this particular capacity? Number one, democratization of forest management. So rather than giving the forest management to bureaucracy only or to some selected group, selected vested interest, forest management should be given to the local communities, because local communities, they have maintained a symbiotic and a very positive relation with the nature. By using their traditional knowledge, fine, they can maintain ecological balance. They can again ensure that congenial species of trees should be brought in the forest. Then diversification of forestry. So cher pine trees are need to be replaced by the oak trees, bunch oak trees. Water resource management. So check dams are to be revived, water springs are to be revived. These water bodies, they can lead to moisture retention of the soil, and as the soil will have higher moisture retention, forest fires incidents will go down. Also, then finally what is to be done? Financial support is to be given. So basically, 16th Finance Commission, fine, 16th Finance Commission need to ensure this thing, that basically the forested areas, states such as Himachal Pradesh, which have huge forests and which are more susceptible to the forest fires, how they are to be given support, how they are to be given support. Fine. So this is, guys, all about it. I hope that you have understood it. And now moving to the next article. Fine. Now moving to the next article. On the Hindu Kush Himalayas snow update. So basically, guys, what has happened? So recently, it has been seen that snowfall in the Hindu Kush Himalayas were alarmingly low. Okay, which is leading to many ecological problems in the region as a whole. So we are going to study about this particular entire issue. Now, this particular article will be important for GS paper number 3, ecology, environment, disaster and related issues. Now, when we talk about the Hindu Kush Himalayas, so here there was a report that was released by International Center for Integrated Mountain Development. So, International Center for Integrated Mountain Development released a report which has said that the record low snow persistence is there in the Ganga River Basin. Fine, snow level in the Hindu Kush Himalaya is also declining. Temperature is increasing. Now, first of all, what is the snow persistence? What is the snow persistence? Snow persistence, what it refers to? It refers to the duration snow remains on the ground. Snow remains on the ground. Now, why it is important? It is important for, it is crucial for providing water to people and ecosystem through the snow melt. Fine. Now, when we talk about the Hindu Kush Himalaya region, snow melt contributes 23% of the runoff of 12 major river basins. So basically, this snow melt, what it is doing, it is fueling the rivers such as Indus, rivers such as Ganga, rivers such as Indus, Ganga. Now, when we talk about the 2024 data, when we talk about 2024 data, we find that there is a lowest snow persistence in the 22 years. Lowest snow persistence in 22 years. And because of that, what will happen? Water availability will decline. Water availability will decline. Now, around the world, we find this thing. For example, in Amud area, Helmand River basins also, significant water decreases there. Now, what is the reason? What is the reason that the snow was less? Fine. Weak western disturbances. And as these western disturbances were weak, they were not able to bring a lot of moisture, and as moisture did not came, fine, snowfall was also reduced. So this is something which is leading to low snow persistence. Fine, high sea surface temperature is increasing. Fine, climate change, global temperature that are increasing, are all leading to these particular factors. So therefore, what can be way forward? What can be solutions to mitigate all these particular problems? Number one, reforestation and snow retention is to be done. Now, basically, what we can do, native species should be reforested here, which can retain more snow on the ground, which can reduce the surrounding temperature, which can bring down the surrounding temperature, and as the surrounding temperature will come down, so more snow will be retained. Okay, improved weather forecasting, so that beforehand we know such kind of things and corrective actions can be taken. Develop robust water infrastructure and policies to protect the snow receiving areas. Okay, and finally, the ultimate solution that is there is emission reduction. Till the carbon emissions will not go down, these particular problems cannot be solved comprehensively. Okay, and here now at the international platform, basically the countries should come together to find a everlasting solution of reducing the carbon emission. Then, moving on, sickle cell patients need urgent access to modern medication. Now, this particular article we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 2, health and related issues. Health and related issues. Now, this particular article, it is actually talking about the sickle cell disease. Now, what is sickle cell disease? Sickle cell disease is a condition when the red blood cells, they turn from this round shape to crescent shaped, Now, as they turn in the crescent shape, they get coagulated with each other. And the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood goes down. Now, when we talk about the sickle cell disease, India has the second highest prevalence of sickle cell disease. We have 1 in 86 birth. 1 in 86 birth have the sickle cell disease, and within the India, sickle cell disease's prevalence is highest in tribal people. Sickle cell disease prevalence is highest in the tribal people. Now, sickle cell disease, I told you that because of sickle cell disease, oxygen carrying capacity of the blood declines. And as the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood declines, it leads to multiple issues. For example, it leads to organ damage, increased infection susceptibility, stroke, pulmonary issues. Okay. Now, what are the current treatment methodologies that we have? So, hydroxyurea, it is the only disease modifying therapy that was there. Fine. Now, there are certain advancements that have come. For example, live GDA and Cas-Givi are two life. So basically, what has happened? FDA of US, it has approved the gene therapies to treat the sickle cell disease, which are based on to the CRISPR-Cas9 technology, where the gene editing can be done, and those particular genes which are responsible for the sickle cell disease, they can be rectified. So there are the gene modification, gene editing technologies by using the CRISPR-Cas9 that have been approved by US. But these particular techniques, they actually are very much expensive. They are actually very much expensive. And because of that, because of that, they are not accessible to the large number of people, not in India, but the entire world. Now, when we talk about India, even the hydroxyurea that happens to be one therapy, it remains limited to very few people. Now, India has initiated National Sickle Cell Anemia Elimination Mission 2023. And under this National Sickle Cell Anemia Elimination Mission 2023, what we aim to eliminate sickle cell disease by 2047. And what are the mechanisms that India is going to use here? Awareness, universal screening, counseling, okay, central and state government collaboration. Fine. So this is something that we are going to do. Now, guys, basically this is good. Intentions are good, but the funding that is needed, fine, still happens to be a concern. Now, what are solutions in this capacity? Way forward. Number one, there should be see, as the part of Article 21, which talks about right to life. So, as a part of Article 21, right to life, we need to ensure that there should be the universal accessibility to basic medications that are needed. And in this capacity, hydroxyurea should be made available. Then scalable solutions should be built. Basically, you see that when we talk about India, we have so much of the global, in the global burden of disease, particularly for sickle cell disease, we have a huge share. So scalable solutions which can treat a lot of people, we need to work on that. And for that, multiple stakeholders, that is the government, pharmaceutical companies, civil societies, philanthropies, they need to come together. Fine. Then next, community empowerment. We need to engage and empower tribal communities. Fine. With culturally sensitive interventions. Now you see this thing that often you see this thing that when we talk about the tribals, they have their own closed knowledge ecosystems, and therefore they need to be made aware with respect to the modern interventions that are there. They need to, basically, their attitudinal change is to be brought so that they become more adaptive to these particular kind of interventions. And as I told you that majority of these sickle cell disease, they impact tribal communities. So specific focus on tribal people should be there. leverage indigenous knowledge systems. Then health infrastructure as grassroots level needs to be promoted, because you see this thing that we are talking about universal screening. Now for universal screening, what we need to do, we need to build the capacity at the grassroots institutions that we have. Then next is that invest in better healthcare facilities and prioritize the sickle cell disease screening, screening. Then next, promote research and collaboration. As I told you, that now there are the gene technologies, gene editing technologies, by which the sickle cell disease can be treated. So we need to invest in such kind of research. Fine. Also, we need to foster global collaboration among the international organizations, academic institutions, philanthropic foundations, so that they can also work on the efficient, affordable, and scalable solutions. Then, telemedicine, wearable devices, remote monitoring, such kind of a things should also be used. Such kind of a things, AI should also be used. Fine. So this is, guys, all about that what needs to be focused with respect to the treatment regimen here. I hope that all of you have understood it.